Welcome to the Classic Jetski's official HQ dedicated to two-stroke classics. This is the next chapter of Classic Jetskis where we really push the channel to the next level, excuse the pun, and bring you even more epic two-stroke content. This dedicated space marks a huge milestone for the channel and our journey, and it's all because of you guys. When I said I would keep the classics alive, I truly meant it, and that means investing in the future of the channel and how we ultimately make videos. 2025 saw the channel work with Yamaha on the all-new Jetblaster Pro, which is an indication things are going in the right direction. And already in 2026, we've been invited by Seadoo themselves to Mexico HQ around their factory as one of only a limited bunch of people. And of course, while I was there, I was pushing the small performance craft crusade forward. I'd say that's not bad considering I started on my mum and dad's driveway 5 years ago, and at the time, every single dealer in the land said, "You're crazy. You're that guy in the corner of the room that can't let go of the past." And I was like, no, no, no. Two strokes are not a thing of the past. The smaller DNA from these machines is not a thing from the past. And I kept prodding and I kept pushing. What's crazy looking back is I started this journey just because I love these old machines, but I quickly realized there's a lot of you guys as well. They're fed up with the direction of travel of these modern machines. So then the mission started. Not only was it about keep the classics alive, but all of a sudden it became that mission to make enough noise that the brands would listen. Of course, all the dealers said they'll never listen to you, they'll never watch the content. Well, they did.
For Classic Jetskis. Delivery for Classic Jetskis.
Just over here, mate.
Thank you.
Don't mind if I do. The big brands are now taking notice. So if you're new around here, let's get you up to speed. The last garage, we outgrew it quite quickly. And somehow we ended up with 11 jet skis, hence why we are now in a brand new space. If you're new around here, you won't know the order in which we purchased. So to start with, my childhood favorite. Should we pull it out? I think that's only fair. Oh, does it ever get old? Just being able to pull it out on a dolly. Shout out Extreme Trailers. Best in the land, the best trailers, best dollies, best everything. The XP-DI was my favorite as a kid. I always wanted one, that 951 engine. I spent a lot of time on the RX as a kid, and the DI was the one I circled in the magazines. And in my opinion, I'm biased, it's the most sexy of them all. Yes, I know, a lot of people hate DI. Have a day off. I know, DIs can be a pain, but in my whole ownership, it's been flawless. So put it in the comments, all of the things that are wrong, and I'll just battle you with telling you you're wrong. So that's the DI, that was the first ski. We bought that from the Jetworks in Kent, one of two skis that we bought from the Jetworks. Tom Hope, really top guy, so go show them some love. They're one of the rare dealers that are still actually selling two strokes. He takes a cheeky part exchange two stroke, and I've been the benefactor of that, both with this one owner. He actually sold this originally in 2003, would you believe? And it's got, on the hour meter, 37 hours. So it is a beauty. That's the next thing everyone's going to put in the comments. Yes, well, you're not at 100 hours yet. At 100 hours, 951s blow up. Again, have a day off. So let's move on to the next. So the next ski was actually a machine my dad found. He was on eBay and he said, "Joe, look at this. This is the original XP." At this point, keep in mind, I was obsessed with the final gen Powerbolic XP. So when I learned that there was 4 generations, I was like, I'm in, sign me up. The original owner of this XP, Tony, if you're watching, he was a marine mechanic, I think, or a marine engineer. So he'd looked after this meticulously. It's as clean as you're gonna find, to an absolutely showroom condition. It's honestly so original. I need to make way more content with it on the channel. It's not had enough love. I've rode it a handful of times, and I know there's a lot of you guys that want me to get back to riding it. I absolutely will. Now it's in the studio, we're gonna get it down, we're gonna finish the videos, and we're gonna get it out on the water. The next ski that we actually found was from Bruce. He actually inherited this from his dad. This had 62 hours on it when we purchased it. And this is my first Yamaha. Had so many good memories on this. Me and Megs have hours of fun on it. The 1100, the triple, the ski that loves to throw you off when you think you're in control. It's a very, very aggressive ski, but to this day, I would say this is the most animalistic two-stroke experience I've personally experienced. 60 miles per hour easy, absolute beast, a little bit more stable with it being a bit bigger, and it jumps waves Wave Raider very, very well. So that was the third ski. And at this point, keep in mind, my mum and dad were letting me store all of these at theirs. The DI was in the garage. These were actually stored under a tower pool, under their carport, absolute legends. And it was the foundation of the skis to come. So next up, really special ski to my family, SP. This was the exact model my dad had when I was a little baby. I was born in '93. I've got so many memories from when I was a kid. Most notably, I was at nursery. I got picked up because I squeezed a bee or something and I was crying. And anyway, I ruined my dad's day because he was going out riding for the day. I know, sacrilege, going out riding, whereas kids at nursery, take me with, obviously, Dad. But we've always wanted to find one. This is obviously not the actual ski of his. That would be absolute goals if he would have kept his. He sadly had to sell it, as many families would have back in the day. He needed money, so the ski went, but it's re-entered our family now. All been completely restored, all the decals have been done, and again, need to make more videos on it. I know there's so many people of the channel that are like, Joe, please make some videos. And what's particularly cool, why it's also important to the foundation of the channel, is you've got the Gen 1 XP, which is the twin carb, but this is the baby that started it all. Many people don't realize, but the SP was Seadoo's first ever modern day entry after the 320 in the 60s. So it's a pretty cool ski to have in the lineup. I think it's quite important. Am I gonna ride it all the time? Gen 1 SP Holt? No, super slappy, really spin out style ski, but a lot of fun on a summer's day, and we will bring you lots of content. So the next machine is actually a really special one. So I always wanted a GSX because again, I saw it in the dealer brochures. Let's pull it out again. How fun is this? This is never gonna get old until I smack a leg and the whole thing collapses. We put more legs in than we need, don't worry. That'll be something else that someone puts in the comment. Oh, that doesn't look very load bearing. I like taking the Nicky out of what I think keyboard warriors sound like. So this machine is what I would call a proper machine. 951, late 90s, seadoo had really hit their stride. Yes, arguably for some, started to move away from their high watermark. The X4s were kind of on their way out. The XP had moved to the parabolic basically meaning deep V that we see on the final gen XP. The GSX was like the natural progression if you liked that mid-mounted engine that you saw in the X4s. And for many that liked the more slab seat, the GSX was the machine that a lot of people actually pivoted to. And what a lot of people don't realize, what makes the GSX so cool, is essentially the same hull that then featured in the RX, the machine that I spent a lot of time on. So I was really excited to find one. I always believed I was gonna find a 98, which is the purple and red, which I still think it looks stunning. But when this landed in my lap, well, it didn't land in my lap, I have really had to kind of work at this deal. So Steve, if you're watching, he basically looked after this to within an inch of his life. He actually put it on Facebook on the first occasion, and then he kind of got cold feet, took it off, and I always said to him, Steve, if you sell this machine, please give me first refusal. And he stuck to his word. About a year later, he said, look, I've not rode it in a whole year. I want it to go to someone. And again, this has got 34 hours on it, really, really low. I've got the original purchase receipt. So the person that purchased this back in 99, because this is the 99, they actually put in part exchange a 96 XP. So it kind of proves my point. But I just think this, again, is one of the most beautiful looking seadoo machines. Yes, it starts to get a little bit bigger. I know that's a problem for some people. If you're talking about prime, best of the 90s, then it's more of the X4s, which we're coming to, don't worry. But for me, always had a lot of fun on this. Cuts through the chop really, really well. A little bit more stable. Great wave jumper with it not being front mounted engine. And just a lot of fun. So another great machine that I added to the collection. And then things really started to pick up from that point. So we had the Raider at this point. What goes hand in hand with Raiders? Blasters. Yes, I know B2, but when this came up, Gary, what owner again, he looked after it to within an inch of his life. This thing is probably one of, if not the cleanest I have. It looks literally original. And I fell in love with the B2. They handle so well, in my opinion. Everyone bangs on about how they're underpowered, but these things carve so well, and it suits my riding style. As the years have gone on, and I've rode more and more machines, I've realized and worked out I like being up high, and I like lean-in style skis. So I'm itching to find a B1. If you have a B1, even if you're anywhere in Europe, please drop me a message. We got really, really close. but we've not got that B1 yet, and we need to add one to the collection. This is good, but I can only imagine the B1s are absolutely insane, and it's kind of like the nice matching pair to go with the Wave Raider. The really cool thing about this particular model is actually the last one they made in Europe, so it has trim. Now, trim wasn't featured on all of them, and I think the teal color is a little bit more rare and special than that quite common yellow color. The yellow's really, really nice, don't get me wrong, but I always loved the teal looking machine. So really proud of this example to have in my collection, and I actually ride it an awful lot. So this is where for many things start to get exciting. X4 hull, probably the most iconic hull Seadoo ever made, 717. First time we saw the X4, which was 1995, and I was the uninitiated. I went into this thinking, let's buy a 95 XP. Boy, did I not realize how good these hulls are. So fun, all about rider skill. When you jump on one of these, you have to be agile, you have to be fit, you have to read the water, and it takes time to master it. Now, naturally, once I acquired the 717, everyone was screaming, most notably Joe, if you're watching, was screaming, Joe, you need to get the 787 full fat. And it's coming a little bit later in this video if you keep watching, but for me, the 95, in terms of retro look, classic jet skis vibe, I think it's mine and Megs' favorite in terms of look and feel. It's got all of those colors, pinks, purples, yellows. It just looks stunning. Again, really, really beautiful example. The owner we purchased it from, absolute legend again. The engine's been out in this one. It was already clean, but I took it to absolute showroom standard. If you open the seat on this one, you could eat your dinner off of the engine, and I've just had hours of fun on it. So the next ski in the collection, actually right behind me, you guys haven't seen it yet, which I know you're itching to see it. It's fully restored now, is the Seadoo HX, another iconic machine alongside the B1s. Everyone said, Joe, you've got to get one. Again, lean-in style machine. And it's been a bit of a mission. Over 2 years, we fully restored this engine out. Every single thing has been gone through, every nut and bolt, and it's now absolutely squeaky clean. So there'll be videos coming very, very soon. So again, if you're new to the channel, there is so much coming. So next up, the one you've all screamed for is a full fat. Again, let's pull him out. Full fat 787. For many, I know it's not the XP variant. Again, I wanted an SPX. I think this is a super iconic machine, right guys? Late 90s, had all of the incremental improvement and evolution. This is the lightest variant of an X4, the 98. And I just think it's an absolutely stunning, vital piece of the collection. I will ultimately, if one comes up, buy a 96, ideally a 95.5 XP, but I do like the mirrored hood more than the racing. I know why it's a non-mirrored hood, but I digress. This machine, for me, just represents like a final little piece of the puzzle to slot in. It would make sense to have a full fat 96 XP, but when you think about it, it would make my 95 XP a little bit redundant, because all of a sudden you're like, well, I've got 2 XPs and I'm always gonna pick the 787. Whereas for me, in my mansplaining brain, it kind of makes sense that I have a SPX variant. It does the exact same thing. I've had so much fun on this. I don't have to worry about the bacon rasher effect because this didn't actually come with the foot mattings. I will be making independent videos on this SPX. So for everyone that said, Joe, where are the follow-up videos? There are tons of videos coming, as there will be with all of these machines. And I'll get into all the nitty gritty of the things to look for with the SPX versus the XP variant. And that basically brings us about up to speed. There's one more machine, and I'm not even going to give reference to it, other than it's a little bit like a stand-up, but it's got its own quirks, and it's not a Yamaha. And obviously we know Seadoo didn't make a sit-down. Well, they made the 3D, but I don't think that counts. So that gets you up to date, and that is ultimately the reason why we now have a dedicated studio, so we can show them off all the time. Lots of videos will come. Already we've got a backlog of videos to get out, so I'm super excited to basically just give you consistent content. For so long, I've been fighting against the weather here in the UK, and actually getting the footage filmed is half of the problem. I appreciate all of your patience, guys. And if you're like me, I just feel so fortunate to be able to still ride these machines. They've stood the test of time. Over the last 5 years, I've experienced so many different machines. People always say to me, like, Joe, what's your favorite machine? And the honest truth is, the reason I've got 11 of them is because they all do something different. And I think that's half the battle, right? Nowadays, everything is very one-dimensional, you know, super compliant. They all do something very, very well, RXP, but it doesn't necessarily represent trickiness. How hard is it to ride? What is it asking you as the rider? So that is the reason why I have so many of these old, more technical machines, and why ultimately I'm only going to keep buying more. Yes, I'll embrace new gen as well. Megs has made a point of saying, Joe, you need to reference that we've also purchased an £11,000 Spark, which is mad because how many oldie goldies could you buy for that one? But Megs has really enjoyed getting into the sport. And I've got to be honest, I've enjoyed the Spark as well. It does some things very, very well, including wave jumping when I'm not snapping the pump. Thanks, Clive, for fixing that for me. But basically, we're trying to make sure that we're keeping an eye on what the new gen is up to. I reviewed the jetblaster last year, and that was a lot of fun. Is it representing the blaster spirit? We're a little bit off yet, but who knows? These brands, hopefully if they're listening and you've got nutcases like me buying studios just to keep these things going, they might listen. You've got to cross everything, guys. But in the meantime, goes without saying, you all know by now, just put it in the comments, bombard me. It makes me happy. Keep the classics alive.